Hi everyone, this is a February 2021 Phantasm Spiral deck profile. I have been wanting to make a profile for a while now, but the next videos were going to be Thunder Dragon and Subterror, but my cards in the mail have either been delayed for a long time or just haven't shown up at all. So it's been brutal. I've been waiting patiently, but they just have not been coming. This deck is ready though. This is a much better version of Phantasm Spiral than the budget version that I did over a year ago. I fiddled with the ratios in the main deck, and there's an extra deck full of good Winter Cherries targets. There's a side deck here as well. It's sort of a budget side deck, but it's actually still decent. You might even bring it to a tournament as it is. This deck can really take people by surprise because it's able to put so many beaters on the field very quickly. Also, you can activate your traps from the hand most of the time. So Phantasm Spiral, it really is a deck that keeps up with modern decks because it has that quality of live interruption that most Yu-Gi-Oh decks have in the current era of Yu-Gi-Oh. So 3 Phantasm Spiral Dragon and 3 Megalo Smasher X. The only 6 monsters that I run. If you're making this build, it's arguable to have more low-level normal monsters, which would be helpful maybe. So feel free to add any number of Sabersaurus, which is a dinosaur, a normal dinosaur that can be searched off of Fossil Dig. But with the 3 Fossil Dig that I do run, as well as the draw spells that I run, and the fact that Phantasm Spiral Dragon can be special from the deck and recycled from the grave fairly easily, and also not to mention that Pacifist creates high beat stick tokens for you, I do feel that these 6 are enough in the deck. So spells 3 Pacifists. This is the primary method of searching and an additional way to get normal monsters on the field. Pacifist, it punishes your opponent for activating card effects because it not only gives you another high attack monster that they have to deal with, but it also lets you search even on your opponent's turn. So you're searching the traps fairly consistently and then activating them pretty much immediately because you control that normal monster. So integral part of the deck, this card. 3 Fossil Dig, pretty straightforward, just adds consistency to the deck by giving you a monster that you can normal summon, and this card is essentially 3 more normal monsters in your deck, but it also lets you thin the deck as well. 3 times Pot of Extravagance. The whole deck, extra deck, is comprised of Winter Cherries targets. So it's a little bit of a give and take when you use this card because you are actually losing out on possible Cherries targets, but Extravagance, it's still, you know, needless to say, pretty much a free +1 in this deck. Basically Pot of Greed in this deck. 3 Dark Ruler No More. All of the best decks monsters now have quick effects or continuous floodgate effects, and this card negates all of them to allow you to set up your board and actually play the game without being negated or interrupted. So I thought I would max out on Dark Ruler No More. 2 Grips, 1 Crash. Notice how I'm not playing Wave because it is a little bit too slow at special summoning Phantasm Spiral Dragon from the deck. Plus the fact that both of these cards here are searchable with the few monsters that I run too. So I feel that 3 equip spells in this deck is fine. These cards, they just enable OTKs by giving you a huge monster to beat down with that you summon from the deck during the battle phase too. Grip is a little bit more useful since it boosts attack, but you have to destroy a monster to special summon that Phantasm Spiral Dragon. So Crash is also good because if you're attacking directly, you can still inflict battle damage, which is its effect to special summon Phantasm Spiral Dragon. So both of them are good. 2 Pot of Duality. A little bit of conflict with this card in this deck because you are trying to special summon the Phantasm Spiral Dragon as well as tokens, but I still feel that this is a good choice in this deck because there are so many spells and traps that would be beneficial to have a choice between instead of just top decking 1. 1 card Demise, basically a free +2 in this deck. Besides the special summoning conflict that I just mentioned with Pot of Duality, it's also notable that you won't inflict any damage the turn that you use this card. I found though that playing this deck, it's usually okay to wait a turn to attack. Given the card advantages you just got with Card of Demise, it's usually worth it. 1 Unexpected Die. You might expect more copies of this card in this deck because it may seem like the perfect fit, but with only 3 targets in the deck, this card it's really good to open, but it can be a total brick later on when you either have no more targets or you already have a board and you can't use the effect. I think 1 is fine personally. Demise of the land. The field spell Pacifist is basically the way that this deck stays alive, the way you can keep interrupting your opponent by searching traps, and also how you maintain a presence on the field. So just more ways to get it is welcome. Harpy's Feather Duster. It doesn't hit every deck, but Virtual World has a continuous spell and trap, albeit with a banish effect, so a little bit beneficial for them to have it destroyed. Drytons have a field spell, not to mention all the other decks that you might possibly come across. I think it's still a good card to run, this card, Harpy's Feather Duster. And last spell is a Terraforming, just to get Pacifists, traps, 3 power, 3 battle. These cards are hand traps except on the first turn if your opponent goes first, because you won't have a normal monster on the field. These cards can be searched basically every turn and are how this deck, alongside Pacifist, it's how it stays competitive in an era of quick effects and live interruption. So power is effect too, to not only negate effects but also lower attack. In this beatdown style deck, it can help push for game. 3 times Infinite Impermanence. This is the best hand trap to run in a deck with card Demise, because you can actually set it once you draw it off of Demise. With the Phantasm Spiral powers, the Dark Rule and No Mores, and this card as well, this deck has a lot of effect negation, but this card is also almost spell and trap removal, or interruption at least, as well, because of its own column effect. 1 Sea Stealth attack. I do side a second copy of this card, but this is basically a backup plan for your Pacifist field spell if it gets destroyed. Additionally, you can protect your spells and traps from destruction, but also importantly, probably a little more importantly than that first bullet point effect, this card is a way that you can get over your opponent's huge attack monsters if you attack with Phantasm Spiral Dragon, because it destroys it at the start of the damage step, which this deck, it doesn't have that many ways to get over high attack monsters, higher than 3,400. Phantasm Spiral Dragon equipped with Grip. So this is a good card. 1 Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. This card is actually a better fit in this deck than it is in the actual Tenyi deck, but I thought I would only run 1 because there are so few monsters. It isn't searchable as well. It can be kind of situational, but it is an Omni Negate. And finally, from the main deck, Metaverse, just one more way to get Pacifist, but also during your opponent's turn, so you can kind of sneakily go in and summon a token. So extra deck. The whole extra deck is lots of Winter Cherries targets. Dragon Link, one of the best decks right now, so I thought it'd include a lot of Dragon Link cards. Okay, so Hieratic Seal, Striker Dragon, often included at more than 1 copy per extra deck, so they are essentially especially good targets. Striker Dragon also being a Link 1, most of the time is the very first part of the Dragon Link combo, as well as being used later on too, and gives them a field spell. Romulus also gives them a field spell, another key part of the Dragon Link combo. Builds up the graveyard as well. LP usually summons Omni Dragon Brotor from the deck, gives them a search. Borreload Savage Dragon is their end board card. Needless to say, great card, so if you can prevent them from getting a negate, not a bad choice to hit. If they have enough cards, they can opt to go into Hieratic Seal for a bounce, and special from the deck. And Halqifibrax, another possible card that Dragon Link can go into to summon sometimes, usually Rocket Synchron from the deck. I know I may have gone overboard with these, how many Dragon Link targets there are in this extra deck, but this is one of the best decks. And also, depending on where they are in their combo and what cards they control, what cards they have in their hand, any one of these could be a good choice for Winter Cherries. And a lot of their combo extenders and combo pieces are in the extra deck, so this is a great deck to hit with Winter Cherries. But I think it's safe to say that Striker Dragon and Romulus are the two targets guaranteed to make the strongest impact when you hit them with Winter Cherries. So for Virtual World, pretty strong deck as well. Just two targets, pretty straightforward here, either Shun Shun or True King of All Calamities, which are either a combo piece to get into Calamities or the actual interruption card itself. Most of the Virtual World combo pieces are in the main deck, so Cherries doesn't really apply to that deck too much. One Zodiac target, Chakanine, which is usually run at 3. Chakanine is often the first card that Zodiacs go into, and specials from the graveyard, so it is an extender as well. I would say it's one of the best hits for that deck. Adamancipator, Halqifibrax also applies to Adamancipator, but I do run this Wrap-Type as well. Before, Link Cross would help to bring out Wrap-Type, but this is still used as a combo piece even today that would help to go into various Link monsters. So it just helps to set up their board with this card. I feel like it's a good hit. One Shaddoll card, Winda, which Shaddoll often ends on. I chose this card because it's the one that hurts Phantasm Spiral Dragon when it's on the field. Because of cards like Phantasm Spiral Grip and Crash, Unexpected Die, Pacifist summons the tokens. You sometimes do need to special summon more than once, so I feel like this is a good one to take care of with Winter Cherries. For Dinosaur, I chose this card. I do have a Evolzar Dolka too, but it actually does nothing against this all normal monster deck because it messes with effects, monster effects, so this is a better hit. Just a few miscellaneous ones now. Masquerena applies to several of the decks I mentioned. Isolde applies to Infernoble, even though Infernoble is not actually listed as one of the best decks right now on some sites. And Cherubini, a little bit miscellaneous again, but I still feel that Burning Abyss is a solid deck. Just quickly going over the side deck. This is a budget side, like I said, but it still works, I think. So obvious 3 Winter Cherries, an extra Sea Stealth attack, Raigeki, just to add some more monster removal, Dimensional Fissure, and Macrocosmos. You actually don't need the graveyard too much, so you could even include this in the main deck because really besides the equip spells, you're not even using the graveyard, and this hurts a lot of decks, these 2 cards right now. 3 Heat Wave could actually stop your opponent from even making a play for the whole turn. And finally, Mystic Mine and Set Rotation. You usually won't be controlling too many monsters. With the amount of monster heavy decks today that often end on huge boards, Mystic Mine can be a really annoying card to have in your deck for your opponent. Set Rotation is perfect because with this card as well as Pacifist, there's 2 optimal field spells to be taking from your deck. That's pretty much the deck profile for Phantasm Spiral, February 2021. Thank you. See you.